Beyond Meat. Game-changing origin and business model explained. What makes meat meat? Is it where it comes from or its chemical composition? It turns out this is an important question in this age and era. One company in particular is on a mission to redefine our understanding of meat, in particular regarding where we source it. Beyond Meat is the pioneer in a space that's likely to grow massively over the coming years and even plays a significant role in our survival as a species. But before we go any further and look at what this company is trying to achieve, I have a request to make. Take a moment to subscribe to our channel. We publish several informative and interesting videos every week about national and global brands, and in particular, what makes them great and what makes them special. If you've already subscribed, we really appreciate it. Thank you. Hamburgers and other meat-based foods are a staple of the US society, and they have been for hundreds of years. Meat is also a common feature in most of the cuisines from around the world. Indeed, meat is the primary source of proteins, which helps your body to grow, heal, protect itself from illness, and many other functions. But we're at the point of human existence where a serious discussion is going on about how ethical, healthy, economical, and environmentally friendly eating meat is. Society is becoming more aware of the ills of animal products, in particular, the cruelty involved in the rearing and slaughtering of animals. The question of the rights we have over animal lives, and in particular the need to brutalize them for food, is a serious one for millions of people around the world. For long, as a species, we've taken for granted the suffering we inflict on other animals in the process of feeding ourselves. And then, some are focused on the impact of animal products on our health. It's now common for doctors to advise their patients to avoid red meat. That's because red meat has been proven to contribute significantly to conditions like heart diseases. Some studies have even linked the consumption of meat with cancer. Meanwhile, researchers continue to show that animal farming contributes a significant portion of greenhouse emissions to the atmosphere. Beyond Meat has figured out how to make a hamburger that doesn't contain animal products, but still cooks, smells, looks, and tastes like meat hamburgers. The company, headquartered in Los Angeles, California, was founded in 2016 by Ethan Brown, a long-time environmentalist. Ethan Brown is also a vegan, and therefore, in addition to caring for the environment, he cares for the cruelty animals have to go through for humans to get to the food. But Ethan Brown wasn't always a vegan. He grew up on the farm, next to animals. His family profited from the animal meat industry. Yes, now, especially thanks to Ethan and others in the new plant-based meat production industry, the phrase animal meat makes sense. It's as an adult that he became vegan. He also became passionate about protecting the environment and proceeded to work in the clean energy sector. It soon occurred to him that meat production contributed close to 3% of greenhouse gas emissions. If the population is to be managed, then someone has to do something about meat consumption. And that had to be beyond telling people to stop eating meat and embrace a vegan diet. In 2009, he began research on how to develop a healthier and more humane hamburger. But it was essential to maintain the experience that one had from a conventional meat hamburger. By 2016, he had a product, and that is when he launched Beyond Meat. It turns out that all the chemical compounds in meat can be found in the plant kingdom. And using these components, Beyond Meat has designed and produced meat that is less destructive, less cruel, and more healthy. The primary ingredient for Beyond Meat products are peas, brown rice, and mung beans. Other ingredients include beet, potato starch, and coconut oil. Beyond Meat continues to perfect their product and also design others. And for this purpose, the company has a team that comprises food scientists, chemists, and engineers. They're always in the lab trying to figure out the molecular composition of meat, and that helps them to produce plant-based meat that behaves and tastes like animal meat. The company has seen a lot of growth since its launch. Their hamburger product is now available in thousands of supermarkets, drive-thrus, restaurants, and hotels across the US. And the company's list of products has grown. You can now get Beyond Meat chicken strips, sausages, and beef crumbles. Among future plans is to make bacon, steak, and other popular meat products, and the potential in the company and its product has caught the attention of mainstream investors. Early investors in Beyond Meat include Bill Gates, actor Leonardo DiCaprio, and former McDonald's CEO Don Thompson. Others are Kleiner Perkins, Obvious Corporation, Biz Stone, the Humane Society, and Tyson Foods. In November 2018, the company filed for a $100 million initial public offering, or IPO. It designated JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Credit Suisse to lead the IPO. Everything seems set for this brand to take over the world. But what has contributed to the significant growth and visibility the company has achieved in the short time it's been around? Of course, it's not one thing. I think the animal cruelty awareness that's growing around the world is a critical factor. It created a perfect environment for Beyond Meat to thrive. Also, the awareness about the impact of animal products, especially red meat, on human health. Many people are heeding their doctor's advice to drop meat from their diet, but their yearning for a bite still remains. If they can get to taste meat without touching meat, then no hard sell is needed. And then the growing knowledge of what animal farming is doing to the environment. Of course, caring for the environment does not take away your love for meat. It also seems like the company has an effective marketing strategy. A close look online shows that the company has mounted very aggressive campaigns to make their brand visible to more Americans. And the campaigns include convenient placement in the news in the mainstream media. Their product being vegan is a topic, and animal rights forums also help to create interest. What makes Beyond Meat different? The innovation by Beyond Meat is critical because it makes it possible to eliminate animal cruelty, give people better health choices, and protect the environment, all without forcing people to give up their hamburger and other types of food with animal products. Millions of Americans love their hamburger too much to let it go just like that. But with an alternative that gives them the same experience, it's easier to convince them to cut back on meat consumption. In other words, with Beyond Meat, it's possible to cut down on animal meat production without forcing customers to live a different life than the one they live. Not meat hamburgers, also known as veggie burgers, have been around since the early 80s. But Beyond Meat and others like Impossible are non-meat burgers that don't force their customers to change their tastes. According to the Plant-Based Foods Association and the Good Food Institute, retail sales of plant-based foods grow at about 10% per year. Meanwhile, those for meat products grow at less than 3%. This means that there's a lot of potential for growth for Beyond Meat going into the future. But all is not perfect. There have been fears that Beyond Meat is putting American farmers out of business. With more people able to enjoy meaty food that has nothing to do with animals, the demand for animal meat could drop. But that's not what Ethan Brown thinks. He believes meat from plant components will save farmers costs and make them more money. The demand for plant-based foods would increase the market for the necessary raw materials such as peas and other vegetables. Ethan assumes that the cost of farming the plants is less than what it takes to rear animals. But it's not very easy for beef farmers to transition to growing plants that are used to make meat. That's because the land used for beef farming is not automatically suitable for growing, for example, peas. The land on which animals are bred is usually best suited for growing grass or other plants that become food for the animals. Also, on some of these farms, the infrastructure has been around for centuries, and it might require a lot of capital to redesign them for plant farming. While there is a massive potential for growth, Beyond Meat can't take it for granted that everyone assumes that meat made from plants translates to being healthy. They may have to prove to potential consumers that the process and the ingredients used to make the meat cannot somehow be faulty to the extent of being a risk to their health. Especially given the complicated chemical processes that need to be used to create plant-based meat, it's reasonable for one to suspect that something can go wrong with the science. Indeed, many would still wonder whether they're better off not eating meat at all, or eating animal-sourced meat, or eating plant-sourced meat. In a post published in the New York Post in November 2019, doctors are quoted warning consumers not to be very excited about plant-based meat, such as what Beyond Meat has in the market. The doctors point out that what gives the plant-based meat the meaty taste is the saturated fat or oils that the manufacturers use. And it turns out there's not much difference between the oils in animal meat and what's added to plant-based meat. They all behave the same. And indeed, oils and fats are the #1 reason doctors tell their patients to keep away from red meat. So from a health point of view, there might not be much difference between eating animal-sourced meat and plant-sourced meat. It's also true that while Beyond Meat has done an excellent job of making their product very close in taste to meat, there is still a recognisable taste difference between the two. And because of this, some consumers might continue to prefer the animal meat to the plant meat. This, however, might change with time as the technology becomes better. Most likely in the future, it'll be tough to tell the difference between a hamburger with plant meat and one with animal meat. Also, most likely, the plant meat might become more popular, not because of ethics, environment or health, but because it'll make more economic sense for the consumers. The technology might indeed make it cheaper than animal meat. Thank you for watching this video. Please comment and share. Until we see you in our next video, bye-bye.